Welcome to Bulgaria.
So this is what we achieved last year. This is the new bathroom and ensuite and utility area. Well, it will be when it's all been partitioned off. We have no plumbing in here yet. We have, of course, the waste pipes for the sinks and toilets, but the fresh water is only just through there, so that's a job for the village plumber. We have the electrics brought this far. They're on a wall here that comes from the main consumer unit over by the front door. The electrics can't be put on yet until all the walls are done, and that means plasterboarding. We also need a ceiling, of course. We don't have one. We have the gable end that's been bricked up at that end, but the other end is still open to the atmosphere. In fact, I'm surprised that no birds have come in and nested in here in the course of the winter. Hopefully they haven't discovered it yet. The rubble's all on the ground. We're still walking on hardcore. Actually, if I get my camera controller, if I move the camera down a bit, you can see behind me that there's various spare blocks and other bits of materials, and definitely just the hardcore floor, which needs concreting. Now that's going to be the first job we're going to have to do, I think. I just need to take some advice on whether we need to lay any plumbing in. But I've been talking to Colin about it. He said if you put plumbing under the floor and it goes wrong, you'll only have to break up the concrete to get it fixed. So I think maybe not, get the concrete down. So this is where I come through. This is where I trip up through into the main part of the house from the bathroom. This is where the water feed is from the water main. We need the village plumber to come in and make sure that goes somewhere, like all around the bathroom, and like into here where we're putting a kitchen along the side. Now, I haven't yet showed you the recap of what we did in the main part of the house last year, so let's start off by showing you that, and then we can discuss what happens in the future. Just to remind you of the one-bedroom bungalow I bought in Oresh, Bulgaria. It's on a triangular plot of land. It started out with 2 chimneys, neither of which we needed, so they were taken down on day one. And the other thing that was done on day one was a driveway was dug out to allow our access into the property. The property has an old-fashioned porch which houses out-of-date electrics and a number of other bits of junk which got cleared out later. And below the porch is the cellar, which is useful for storage if nothing else. The property came with a small living room area and a small kitchen area, and I didn't see much point in keeping those separate, so the first thing to do was to knock down the wall between them. It's made of mud bricks and it crumbles as you touch it, so this had to be done quite carefully. All the rubble that we created throughout this renovation was to come in useful later on, so it was shoveled out the window, left in a pile, and you will see that it gets used as hardcore. As much as I like original wooden floors, I was told that some of the flooring was rotten and that it all had to be taken up. So the decision was made to replace the wooden floor with a concrete floor. A bit of a shame, really. Now, if you need convincing that the septic pit is quite deep, watch this man going down into it, and then to my surprise, there's another man already down there that I hadn't even noticed. In the end, all the flooring will be replaced with a brand new concrete floor, so there's a lot more rubble created as we smash up bits of the original kitchen area, and later on the rubble here will be used in the bathroom extension, which you saw last time. I decided that some of the doorways were superfluous to requirements, so some of them got knocked out and widened, others actually got bricked up for reasons that will become apparent. Although a number of trades are involved with this renovation, the two main ones are the electrician, because it's a complete rewire, and you will see that the plaster is being chiselled out to take the cables, and also the sockets and light switches. The other work is mainly plastering, concreting, that sort of thing, and that all has to be mixed, and it's done just outside the front door. So we've now created a much bigger area that combines the old kitchen and the living room and what was the hall, which will become a sort of inset into the living room. I received an email one day saying that the new concrete floor would be too heavy to be supported by the cellar as it stood, and extra supports were going to be needed. So the fairly large cellar storage area had to be reduced by putting in 2 concrete pillars to hold up the floor above. The concrete floor was poured bucket load by bucket load, a fairly long and laborious process, and this is also the time at which it was necessary to create the openings into the bathroom extension. This is the day that the glazing people arrived to install the windows. Throughout all of this time, concreting of the floors was carrying on. They just had to keep out of the way of the areas where the windows were being put in. Glazing day was also mosquito neutralising day. As this spraying plane set out from Swishtov early in the morning, it actually woke me up in my hotel, and by mid-morning it was flying over the fields of Oresh. It doesn't kill mosquitoes, it actually makes the females infertile, and apparently that stops them needing our blood, so they just leave us alone. Sounds like a good thing to me. And this was the last year they used this plane, because this year I was in Swishtov when they were doing the spraying and totally unaware of it. Instead of starting in the morning, they now start at 8 o'clock at night. They fly very low and they use drones, so the whole thing has been updated and modernised. A concrete slab has been lying around the back of the property where the extension was being built for some time. A few strong men dragged it over to the garden area and put it on top of the septic pit, and it's now being concreted in to form the lid. It took until quite late on in the work for the bird's nest to be removed from the wall in the old kitchen area. The nest hadn't been used for months and the house had been closed off, so it couldn't have been used again. But I don't know if it was kept there for old time's sake. It finally was taken down though. And that's pretty much as far as we got in 2023, and we can take up the story from there now and take it through the next 12 months. It's going to be progressing a lot slower than it did last year because of the general economic situation and the lack of any further budget, so I guess I need to get a paper round or something.